Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. To the USC fans who've been rocking with the boys all summer long, this was always the game that we had circled. On the road at the end of September against Illinois. This is the game where we're going to figure out what USC is about in 2025. And I've been very vocal. I think USC goes on the road and wins this football game. Heck, I think they go on the road and cover the number on this football game. But there's a storyline that we probably haven't talked enough about, and that are some of the injury question marks that USC has heading into this matchup. Most primarily, you're starting left tackle Elijah Paige and your star wide receiver Jacoby Lane. And I'll say this, it would be disrespectful if we didn't talk about some of these injury question marks because Elijah Paige is an all-conference player. Jacoby Lane is one of the best wide receivers in the sport. If we just ignore those injury question marks, probably a little disrespectful to how good of football players both of those two cats are. But I want to start with this, and we're going to get nitty gritty, and we're going to talk about, hey, what's it look like if Elijah Paige don't play? What's it going to look like if Jacoby Lane is not active for this one? But I want to start with this. If there's one thing we've learned about USC through the first 4 games this season, it's a heck of a lot more multidimensional than we thought they were going to be heading into this one. And what I mean by multidimensional is there's so many different ways that USC can go win a football game, which is a stark contrast to what it's been like under Lincoln Riley through the early years of his tenure. Go back to even when USC was winning a heck of a lot of football games with Caleb Williams at quarterback. There was only one way USC was winning those football games, and that was Caleb Williams being the best football player on the field, and Caleb Williams just flat out scoring more points than the opposing offense. What have we learned about USC through the first 4 weeks? They can win a lot of football games in a lot of different ways. I'm looking at this USC rushing attack and saying, hey, it's averaging 7.1 yards per carry. This is a rushing attack that's one of the best in the country through the first 4 games of the season. Then I'm looking at the USC defense and say their ability to create negative plays, their ability to force turnovers. This ain't something that we've been talking about with USC through the early years of Lincoln Riley's tenure. The biggest takeaway I have is that back in August, I think the general consensus was USC would need to lean on 5 or 6 players to win games if they wanted to win in 2025. Where we're at right now is that I'm looking at USC and say, hey, we can lean on a lot of different things, a lot of different position groups to go out and win football games. Back in August, if you would have told me USC is going on the road and Elijah Paige might not play and Jacoby Lane might not play, 2 players that might be top 5 players on this football team, I would say, hey, USC ain't winning this football game. All of a sudden you're looking at USC and the amount of different ways and the amount of different players that they can lean on. And you're saying, hey, you still have some confidence because how complete and multidimensional this football team has shown us they are to start 2025. That's the broad take that I have. And it's not, I mean, zero disrespect to either Elijah Paige or Jacoby Lane, but you're sitting there looking at USC and say, hey, we got a lot of other players that can go out and win this football game that we didn't think we could lean on back in August before this season kicked off. Now, I do want to get into, hey, what's it going to look like if Elijah Paige, doesn't play? What's it going to look like if Jacoby Lane doesn't play? Before we get into it, as always, to the USC fans, hey, how about a quick vibe check in the comment section? We are about 24 hours from kickoff. How are we feeling? What's the confidence level from the USC fans in the comment section? And as always, appreciate you guys. Y'all know how much fun I have talking this football team. The amount of support y'all show the boys in the comment section on Twitter, that stuff means the world. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into it. Now, let's start with Elijah Paige, because to me, that was the biggest concern we had about USC in general going into 2025 was the offensive line, specifically the depth of the offensive line. If we get a little banged up front, what's this offensive line look like? Now, it's a complicated situation because this is not just, hey, Elijah Paige might not play, so our backup left tackle is going to plug and play at left tackle. It's not what you're going to see. You're going to see a lot of moving parts. It starts with Justin T, who has started at right tackle. He's going to switch over and play left tackle if Elijah Paige doesn't play. Tobias Raymond, who has started at left guard, is going to kick out to right tackle. and Micah Banuelos is going to come in and play left guard. So you got 3 guys that would be in different positions if Elijah Paige does not go in this football game. Here is the optimistic part about this. We saw this in the second half against Michigan State. That's when Elijah Paige got banged up. Tobias Raymond kicks out to right. Justin T goes to left. Micah comes in at left guard. Shoot, man, didn't really skip a beat. USC's offensive line just looked just fine in the second half against Michigan State. Now, the first question is, with all these moving parts, now we're going on the road. How do we manage the communication? That is certainly a storyline. It has to start with Tobias Raymond. I think he's been USC's best offensive lineman through the first 4 weeks. And the value that this kid is adding to the offensive line cannot be understated. I mean, he was supposed to start at right tackle for USC going into 2025. And then DJ Wingfield gets his eligibility denied. Say, hey, we need a new starting left guard. Tobias Raymond, who has played hasn't really played guard since I believe his sophomore year of high school, now goes from right tackle and goes in and plays guard. And he's been damn good doing it. And then said, hey, Tobias Raymond, now that Elijah Paige is out, we need you back at right tackle. Kicks back out to right tackle, really damn good. That's rare, man. You don't see that from a lot of offensive linemen. Tobias Raymond playing multiple different positions on both sides of the offensive line, playing the way he's played, huge storyline. Then the other thing is Justin T at left tackle. Making the move from right tackle to left tackle in the middle of a football game, in the middle of a season, that ain't easy either. Justin T, he's a redshirt freshman. The kid just continues to get better at the sport every single time he goes out. Going back to his freshman year when he came in and played against Texas A&M in the bowl game. It wasn't perfect, but you saw the flashes. And now you look at 2025, it seems like every game he looks a little bit more comfortable, just gets a little bit better. You got to give a massive shout out to Coach Hansen. Yeah, I spent so much time talking about this offensive line and my concerns about the offensive line heading into 2025. Jaden has only been sacked on 1.7% of his dropbacks. That is top 20 in the country. USC's running the football for 7.1 yards per carry. That's top 10 in the country. This has been an offensive line that is not just, again, through 4 games, you haven't really seen elite caliber defensive fronts yet. So there's still some more that we need to see. But from what we've seen, the 4 games that we have to go off of, way better than what we thought it was going to be. We'll see and here's the thing, if Elijah Paige does play, that left side of the offensive line, so Elijah Paige will start at left tackle and Tobias Raymond at left guard, that is really a damn good left side of the offensive line. 4 weeks ago, this would have been a massive concern. I probably wouldn't pick USC in this game, but from what we've seen from this USC offensive line, it's hard not to have confidence that going to be just fine Saturday afternoon against Illinois. The other storyline is Jacoby Lane. Now, the first conversation is if Jacoby Lane does not play. And here's the thing. I think Jacoby Lane's chances of playing are actually pretty dang solid, it sounds like, because I think he practiced for USC or practiced with USC during the week. If he doesn't play, what's it look like? This is where you get into that multidimensional conversation. Going into the season, we weren't sure what the run game was going to look like. We knew Jacoby Lane and Mekhi Lemon were dogs, but we didn't know really much else about the pass catchers. Number one, you can lean on the run game. If Jacoby Lane doesn't play, you'll probably see a bunch of 2 tight end sets. Hell, USC's played a lot with 2 tight ends on the football field, and they're just beating the crap out of the opponent defenses. They're running the football really well. If Jacoby Lane doesn't play in this one, I'm guessing you're going to see a steady dose of Lake McCree, Walker Lyons, and we're going to see a steady dose of USC running the football. Again, that's the difference between this USC team this year and teams that we've seen in years past. That ability to lean on the run game with one of your star wide receivers maybe not playing, that's something USC's never been able to lean on before under Lincoln Riley. Number 2, I like the sprinkling in of the tight ends in the passing attack. Lake McCree work. Jaden's has taken, I should say, monster steps work in the middle of the field. That was Jaden's biggest flaw in 2024. Like, he could work the boundary. He's really comfortable throwing to the boundary, but when you asked him to process over the middle, it was ugly. Got himself into plenty of trouble. Think he's been really good to start 2025 attacking the middle of the field. That's where your tight ends can really do some damage. So I look at it and say, All right, Jacoby Lane, if he doesn't play, that stinks because he's one of the best wide receivers in the country. But this USC team has shown that they're more than just two really good pass catchers on offense. They're a lot more of a complete offense, both in the passing attack and in the rushing attack. Here's the other storyline that's sneaky that we need to talk about. USC was 1-4 in true road games last year. They struggled massively on the road. Now, again, now that you're in the Big Ten, it's some tough travel games, right? You're on the road against Minnesota. You're on the road against Maryland. It's tough. It's not only tough road environments, but it's also tough travel. How does USC manage the travel in the road environment in this one? Another storyline to monitor, right? The only road game, the true road game that USC won last year was against UCLA. Not really a road game, right? Probably had more USC fans in that stadium than UCLA fans. How do they manage? Because for Illinois, it's homecoming too. Like it's going to be a sold out stadium. It's going to be rowdy. How does USC manage it on the road? That's the storyline I'm looking for. And then lastly, talk about the biggest misconception. I want to go to the defense side of the football for this. The biggest misconception that is surrounding this football game. Illinois is going to dominate the line of scrimmage. Or can Illinois win the line of scrimmage? That's the if you are talking about this game like that, you probably haven't watched much football this year. Now go back to August. Yeah, maybe that was the question. Hey, is Illinois way better along the lines of scrimmage than USC? From what we've seen from both of these teams throughout the first 4 weeks of the season, USC is the better line of scrimmage team. They have the ability to dominate the line of scrimmage, specifically on defense. This is an Illinois team that's averaging 2.9 yards per carry. It's 118th in the country. Sacking the quarterback or giving up sacks on 13.6% of dropbacks. That's 132nd in the country. I'm looking at USC and say, one of the best pass rush units that we see in the country. Make no mistake about it. The better line of scrimmage team in this matchup is USC. Can you go on the road and really take advantage of that matchup? Can it become very, very clear from that first whistle that USC is kicking butt along the lines of scrimmage? That's what I'm looking for. And here's the going back and watching Illinois against Indiana. This is what I like for USC. I don't think you have to blitz to manufacture pressure on Luke Altmaier. USC is really dynamic with their pass rush. We've talked about it all year. The thing I love most about USC's pass rush is, and I hate to use the word continually, but multidimensional. Like it's not just one player. It's not just Cam Fountain is the reason why USC's rushing the passer so well. It's Cam Fountain. It's Devin Tompkins. It's Anthony Lucas. It's freshman Floyd Boucard, who has played phenomenal football, specifically in the pass rush. You're really athletic up front, especially when you want to rush the passer. So I'm looking at Devin Tompkins. I'm looking at Floyd Boucard and say they can run some stunts. They can run some games. They can line up at different spots along that defensive line. That's where Illinois struggled the most, right? Can you take advantage of that? Can you use your athleticism in the amount of different ways you can manufacture pressure on the quarterback to your advantage? Then I'm looking at USC against the run. Illinois, they got a center that's very similar to Killian O'Connor. And it's not, I don't mean that as a bad, it's just he's small. He's 6'2", 290, right? Josh Kreutz. How does he look against 360 Jot Jarrett? And that might be, I think Jot Jarrett might be a little bigger than 360. How does he look against Keyshawn Silver? That's another matchup that, hey, you talk about dominating the middle portion of that defensive line. Big bodies move small bodies. And you got Keyshawn Silver and Jot Jarrett who are going to be 50 pounds plus that center for Illinois. You take advantage of that too. Can you stop the run? Can you set up those third and long passing situations? Then can you pin your ears back, get after a guy like Luke Altmaier? We'll see how number one, we're talking about this as if Elijah Paige and Jacoby Lane aren't going to play. They very well might play in this game. But if they don't, those are some of the storylines that I'm looking at. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. Going to be a really fun game. We'll break it down afterwards. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.